And that is why the Gemara in Sanhedrin 99b says the following. Amar Rabbi Elazar, Kol Adam la'amel nivra. Every individual was created to toil. Ask the Gemara, what kind of toil were we created for? I conclude, says the Gemara, that one was created to labor in the Torah. Adam la'amel yulad, we were created to toil. In what kind of toil? What kind of avoda? The avoda of la'amel Torah. Amelus Torah means involvement and engrossment in the understanding of Torah. Why? The Torah is the instruction manual of the mind of Hashem, Kiviyachol. The Gemara in Shabbos says, page 105a says that Ana nafshi kasvis yahavis. Ana nafshi, my soul, says God. Ana nafshi, my soul, kasvis, I wrote the Yahavis, and I placed it in the Torah. Hashem placed his soul, Kiviyachol, his mind, his will into the words of the Torah. And when we are Amel B'Torah, we are involved and engrossed and toil in the understanding of Torah. Then we can understand God's mind, his will, what he wants for us, and how we can self-actualize by aligning ourselves, our ego, our thoughts, our free will with his will. When my free will aligns with God's will, that's called dvekus. That's called connection. That's called alignment. That's called getting it right. That's called self-actualization. When I align my mind with God's mind, when I align my will with his will, that's called shlemus. That's called dvekus, connection with God. And then I can walk a straight pathway of alignment with Hashem. That's the purpose of learning Torah, and that's the purpose of living Torah. So we live Torah all day long. We apply the principles of Torah life, of chesed, of justice, of kindness, of chinuch, of perseverance, of doing the right thing, of making the right choices. All day long we're living Torah. All day long we're applying and living the mind of Hashem by applying the principles of Torah. In order to apply the principles of Torah, we have to study the Torah. And the study of Torah means the study of the written Torah, the Torah Shebichsav, and the oral Torah, the Torah Sheba'al Peh, the understanding and deeper meaning of the written Torah. The real amelus, the real engrossing ourselves in Torah, is in the oral Torah, the Torah Sheba'al Peh, now known as the Talmud, made up of the Mishnah and the Gemara. This requires tremendous effort. First of all, it's in Aramaic. It's not Hebrew, it's a mixture of Hebrew and Aramaic. It's very difficult to understand. We need Rashi and Tosfos to help us understand the layers of it. Then we have the Rishonim, and we have the Achronim to understand and to argue about the meaning of different passages. In order to derive the halacha, we don't paskin from the Gemara. We don't decide a halacha from the Gemara. The Gemara gives us the background, and from there we go to the Shulchan Aruch, the Code of Jewish Law, written by the Beis Yosef, Rav Yosef Karo, in the 15th century, and all the Nosei Kelim, all of the commentaries on the Shulchan Aruch, to decide the halacha. And today, there's a commentary on the Shulchan Aruch called the Mishnah Brura, written by the Chafetz Chaim, and he knew the whole Torah, and therefore he reviews the current halachas of what is applicable today and what is applicable to us, and we decide the halacha like the Mishnah Brura, like the Chafetz Chaim. But this takes a lot of involvement, a lot of toil to understand the background, the Gemara, Rashi, Tosfos, all the Rishonim, all the Achronim, to come down to paskening halacha in the Shulchan Aruch and the Mishnah Brura as we follow today.